So is it the wheel bearing or the tire that making the noise? In a previous video I showed you how to check the tire. If it has high and low tread, definitely the tire making noise. Also, it could be the bearing too. Could be a tire and a bearing. But we first check the tire. See high and low here. When you spin it, you're gonna see there is the tread is even. Okay. Also, if you have a snow tire, or you have a sport tire, or if you have a truck or Jeep tires, those big tread, and they have distance between the tread, they usually make noise from the get-go. But if you've been having a smooth ride and then out of the sudden they start to hear noise, you have to check all four tires. Any one tire could just drive you crazy. It could be the back one, it could be the front one, it still will make noise. Alright, even if the back one has a high and low tread, it will make noise in the whole car. It will travel through the chassis and you will hear it as you drive. But however, today I'm going to show you how you check how I check the wheel bearing on a car. And I'm going to explain to you on a table on those wheel bearings and show you the difference and why you cannot check in the same way you check the old cars, old vehicles. So if there is a humming noise or a crunchy noise or screeching noise, you hear it on the, almost hurt myself, or in the car while you're driving, so most likely it's the bearing, one of the bearings on the car. The best way to check it is to use a stethoscope in here, which is this one, something similar to this, or you could use a long screwdriver like this or like this. You could point it here and put it in your ear. You hold it like this around your ear and you put your ear on this area on your hand, and you spin the tire with your hand, or you have someone help, or I have someone help to spin the tire so I could hear the noise coming on the strut itself. The best way to do it, or I do it, I always find it on the strut. I hear the noise travel from the tire, from the wheel bearing to the strut, and you could hear it. If it's too confusing with the brakes, the best thing to do also, if you want, if the brake's old, you could just remove the brake caliper, take the brake pads, and this way you have a free spinning wheel, nothing holding it, and the rotors will be free. And I put back the tire and I spin it like this, and I check the noise on this area right here. So I put the stethoscope on here, I put it here, anywhere, try to hear the noise and match it to the other side. I do the same thing in the back. If you don't have a strut in the back, or you have shocks away from the cross member, away from the cross member, you could just come as close as possible to the lower control or upper control arm, but make sure there is no rubber in between them, like metal to metal, so this way you hear the noise clear. Alright, so usually it's, most of the time with me, it's 99%. This is how I find it. So you need to hear the humming on the strut, so it travels through the bearing going all the way to the strut. Alright, so you spin the wheel again like this, and the more you do it, they're gonna hear. It's good to have help while you hold a screwdriver or a pry bar, or the best thing, like I said, the stethoscope. This thing works perfect, and you could hear the noise here very obviously coming on. But like I said, if you have a brake issue, or the rotors like this one is rusty, it might make noise here that you might not hear it even here, but the bearing usually loud, you can hear it in the strut. So you could just remove the caliper like I did, and then you go from there. We're gonna go back on the bearings to explain what's going on there. Like I said last time, I explained this on a tire. I I see if there is any pumpy while I'm trying to spin it. So this tire looks good. It doesn't pump up or down. So the tread very much is even everywhere. You could see my hand is like steady. It doesn't move. If they have any high or low tread, this is gonna go like this. You're gonna feel it. Okay, you could also feel it with your own hand. You know, just get the feeling if you hear if you see something like, you know, going high or low. So the tire very much making noise too. But most of the time, the bearing, it's a steady noise that like goes higher and higher while you drive. I could say they're confusing with the tire very much. They are similar noise, but like I said, the bearing, you just have to go to the strut, or don't go on the bearing direct. Just go away, a little bit away from it. You want something to carry the noise. You want something to carry the noise, and then you hear it in the strut. The wiggle test, it doesn't work on the new cars because very much the bearing, it's very much intact together with the hub. Like this kind here, you're not gonna feel it wiggle like this. It's very hard to wiggle. They usually make noise inside because the grease goes out, and from the snow or water get inside and start making noise. This one is smooth. There's nothing wrong with this. Same thing here. These smooth. There's nothing wrong with these. And again, so this is very much inside the bearing. These balls here, as you see them here, these they go inside here, different sizes. So those balls here, they run out of grease and they start making noise. This outside here usually steady, doesn't move. The one that moves, the one inside. Okay, this one, the one that moves. This goes in the spindle or the knuckle, and this thing move with the axle. Okay, so anyway, anytime the water goes inside, snow goes inside, and it eats very much the grease around it with the heat and stuff. Those ball bearing, they become very dry and they worn out, and they start to rub against each other. Okay, they rub against each other and start making that's the noise you hear. Right? So they sit inside the they sit inside like this, like I showed you the other one. Those a little bit bigger than the one I have, but and these they move around. If there is no grease, that's what you hear. Those they're gonna rub against each other, and what you hear as you drive. Imagine the weight of the car on this particular bearing. All right. Probably this bearing is bad. I don't know if you hear the noise. You could hear it crunching. Okay, this makes noise. One more note. Those kind of bearing, it's a kit assembly. It's the hub and the bearing that come together. You cannot separate them. It comes one piece. For example, like the Honda and the Toyota Camry, some models, like this one here, this one separated from this. This is the bearing and this is the hub. They go inside each other like this, and they pressed on. So you could change the bearing by itself and leave the hub if the hub in good shape, or you could change the hub and keep the bearing if the bearing is good. But most likely the bearing goes bad and the bearing ruins the hub, right? It's not the other way around. This goes bad in case you get in an accident. The wheel gets hit here and this becomes a crooked and start to wobble like this. But it's in very rare occasion, when it goes bad, that you could check it by wiggling the wheel like this. It doesn't do that. Okay, this is happening only in old cars, like this one for a Jeep. This is Jeep Grand Cherokee. This axle shaft goes inside the differential or the axle housing, right? And this bearing here is a little bit different. You could see this is two sides of it. The older car in the front, this bearing here, there's another one in the front of it, the other side. Like one here, and there's one the other side. It goes around the brake rotors. But this piece here, this sleeves, sits inside the differential or in the axle housing, and you push this axle in it, and it sits on it like this. And when it goes bad, those different bearings, it look like cylinders. They're not balls like this. Okay, these 3 cylinders look like very much. It looks like this right here. Okay, so that's very much it. So this bearing here was replaced before, as you can see it. Those making noise, especially on the car. So that's very much for the wheel bearing. Thank you for watching.